Hi, OCD family community. Oh, this week has kicked my booty, just keeping it real. And I haven't felt 100%. And so this week has been 100% about survival. I've been tired, exhausted, you can probably hear it in my voice, running on fumes. But still running, kind of. So I'm definitely trying my best to stay hydrated, and that's helpful in so many ways, including the fact that that means I get to bump elbows still with you here at the water cooler. But before this month ended, and I am really cutting it close here, on this, the 30th day of June, I wanted to take a moment to recognize Pride for our OCD fam. I felt sad that I probably wouldn't be able to do this week's episode justice just with how I'm feeling and running on fumes. But the truth of the matter is I wouldn't be able to do this episode justice anyway. Justice, although the goal, we are a long way from justice, fam. But before we go on, let me just remind y'all that this isn't therapy, and also let me go ahead and provide a trigger warning too. Because today, we're going to be talking facts and statistics. And unfortunately, when we're talking about the LGBTQIA plus community, that means there are too many statistics of a sensitive nature around discrimination, violence, assaults of varying natures, murder, and suicide. I would classify myself as an ally, though a good friend taught me that being an ally isn't something you name for yourself. It's a title adorned to a person whose actions and behavior, their life, matches what it means to be an ally. And in this day and age, words are all too often cheap. Businesses will put up their pride flags and offer a statement or two for the month of June, but what about the other 11 months of the calendar year? What about the way people are treated? Perhaps it's provocative, but your actions during those other 11 months probably say more about what you believe than who or what you champion during the month of June. Just saying. And hey, I don't claim to be any sort of expert on pride, but what I have learned over the years is pride seems to be fairly misunderstood. It's not about a mere celebration and a parade or two, but it was the dawning of a civil rights movement that started at a place called the Stonewall Inn almost exactly 54 years ago today. It wasn't the first fight. Sadly, it won't be the last fight. But it was a significant catalyst for a shift in recognizing civil, human rights for all. At the time of Stonewall, it was very dangerous to be a member of the queer community, and yet today, it still remains dangerous. So fam, I want to recognize our OCD family tree. Whether you identify as a part of the LGBTQIA plus community, are a family member, or best friend to a loved one within the community, an ally that focuses more on the practicing versus the preaching of inclusivity, or someone who doesn't get it or agree. My objective isn't to change your belief system, or to have you change mine, just like no one's worldview was ever shook, or ratified even, by a social media post. This podcast is no magic wand either, but my objective is to simply hold space for considering pride through the lens of humanity. No matter how folks identify or who they love, they are still folks. We all are still people. They are still humans that deserve to be treated just as that, humans. According to the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, and a write-up published just recently, really, in 2021, quote, the LGBT people are still 4 times more likely to experience violence in their lifetime than their straight counterparts, end quote. It goes on to talk about how the FBI data shows that in 2019 there was a rise in anti-LGBTQIA plus crimes. A record-breaking number of murders occurred in 2020, and of that statistic, a majority were women of color. 50% of transgender people have been assaulted at least once in their life. 44% of lesbian women, 26% of gay men, and 37% of bi men have experienced intimate partner violence of some sort. 70% of the LGBTQIA plus members have been sexually harassed at work. LGBTQIA folks are also twice as likely to experience mental health disorders. And if we want to zoom in and look specifically even at OCD, because you know how we do here at the OCD Family Podcast, Dr. Caitlin Penciotti has noted that quote, LGBTQIA plus people are 6 to 9 times more likely to be diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder than their cisgender heterosexual peers. LGBTQIA plus people experience unique identity-based stressors that may impact the development, severity, and the maintenance of OCD. However, to date, current theories of OCD neglect to consider the unique experiences of LGBTQIA plus people with OCD, end quote. Suicide, y'all, is the leading cause of death for LGBTQIA plus youth, starting at age 10-year-olds. And why? Because of the stress, the threat of discrimination, the violence experienced, the crippling distress and terror. And that is just one side of the coin, fam, because as much as there's discord between the LGBTQIA plus and broader population, there's also infighting and discord within the community itself. And these facts, y'all, these facts aren't from 1969 when the Stonewall Inn was invaded and people were brutally attacked, sparking great outrage at the mistreatment and violence towards people. These facts are from our time now. So whether you agree or disagree with how gender or sexuality functions within another person or not, that doesn't condone any of these statistics. Our job is to treat people as people. And none of us are going to agree on anything 100%. But that doesn't warrant the violence, the shame, the mistreatment of others. And so Pride, it's not a marketing campaign to catch gays or make people trans, although businesses will not relinquish an opportunity to try and make a buck or two. But Pride is about survival. It's a signal to folks, whether living out loud or hiding in the shadows, that your life matters. It's civil rights. It's an effort to embrace belonging. So agree or disagree. But either way, fam, know that here, in this family, we are better together. No matter who you love, who you are, we're better together. I belong, you belong, we belong. Also, just want to note that you can check out more information on the references I've shared today over at OCD Family Podcast for this episode's blog. And to that end, I also want to note that Dr. Caitlin Pinciotti is still running her safe and confidential survey for the LGBTQIA plus people with OCD. We talked about this on an earlier podcast this season, Season 1, Episode 29 to be specific, and Dr. Caitlin Pinciotti is doing groundbreaking work, not only in this area, but also in the areas of trauma and OCD. And it's important that we have more inclusive theories, better understanding, and justice-based treatment when treating any person. You matter. So thanks for meeting with me again here at the water cooler. See you next week, fam.